I come from the cold waters of Cornwall in the UK, where I live and surf with my family. Cornwall has not only inspired me to become a surfer, but also a writer and a geographer, passionate about celebrating emerging surf cultures. I think that surfing is a wonderful way to engage with communities, because it gives you the chance to really get under the skin of places, to experience their culture, their coastlines, and explore critical issues of sustainability. I am particularly attracted to the off-the-beaten-track locations. I believe we can learn a lot from these places that offer so much potential for a more light-footed style of cultural tourism. I call these places the brilliant corners, and I'm on a journey to discover what we can learn from the brilliant corners of the world. The Indian Ocean island of Madagascar is so big, brilliant and unique it's often called the eighth continent. I'm travelling here with Mike Lay and James Parry to soak up the atmosphere of Antananarivo, celebrate the 700-mile-long Route du Sud from the capital through Ranamafana to Tuliar, and surf through a web of Vaso fishing communities surrounded by shallow reef passes in the southwest of this vast and varied country. Most travellers who visit Madagascar opt to jump straight onto a domestic flight to avoid the capital, but I think it's worth a visit. And this is why old Antananarivo, where ghostly Citroën 2CVs, Renault 4s and old Peugeot taxis prowl the cobbled streets like tin animals. It's as if the sulphur-coloured taxis are ferrying passengers to another world, and the creaking suspensions and whining engines add to the mystery. As the afternoon sets in, the rest of the team arrive at Larabadea Hotel, fresh from the intensity of the hour-long drive from the airport to downtown.
How's it going? How are you?
Yeah, good, yeah.
Oh, good beer. Yeah. It's crazy, that drive.
Right, boy? Bit of an eye-opener, that drive, isn't it?
Yeah. Hits you in the face, just boof. People everywhere. I've never been in a city with similar energy to Antananarivo.
I've gathered a solid crew for this trip. Van's team rider James Parry is known around the globe as a longboard maestro, as good if not better than anyone on the nose you'll see anywhere. He's also a photographer, great footballer and surfboard shaper, who cut his teeth at home in Cornwall, but has recently been living in Australia, where he met his partner Paige Madison, a professional surfer and model from Queensland. Mike Lay comes from the historic mining capital of St Just in Cornwall, and has been raised in the beach breaks of Sennin Cove to become one of the most stylish longboarders in the world, sponsored by Reef and working seasonally as a lifeguard. He's also a published poet with a degree in creative writing, and Mike's partner is Frankie Davies, at the forefront of a new generation of outstanding British country musicians. With Paige and Frankie busy on respective projects, this is a brilliant opportunity to invite James and Mike onto a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. We take a quick tour of the neighbourhood, while Mike gets tempted to spend some of his local currency, Ari, freshly changed at the airport, on a gift for Frankie.
Okay. Oh. It's good.
The following morning, we're jumping into a taxi to look around town. I've experienced some pretty sinister feeling capitals like Port-au-Prince in Haiti, where the voodoo vibe brings your skeleton out to dance, but there's a special feeling of otherworldliness here in Antananarivo. Even the drivers operate in another automotive world, running their taxis by bypassing the fuel tank to run straight from a jerry can in the footwell.
Fais le plan? Complet?
You cannot deny that this place has style. Set amongst 12 hills at 4,000 feet on a high plateau, Antananarivo, or Tana as the locals call it, is packed with tall houses with terracotta tiled roofs and wooden balconies. The traces of a swanky French colonial city are everywhere in Houtville, or Upper Town, which is filled with classy restaurants and upbeat Saligi music blasting out of bars. 20,000 French expats live and work in Tana, and all the good literature on the island is in French. But Malagasy is the national language, So to learn a few basics, I'm meeting up with Nadia, the manageress of La Robadea Hotel.
In Malagasy, 2 words to say hello is manaona or salama. Please and excuse me, it means azafadi. And the word for thank you is misauta. And the word for goodbye is veluma.
I asked Nadia a little bit about the culture of Madagascar, and she explains that long before European colonialism in the late 1800s, the original Malagasy settlers came from Indonesia and Malaysia 2,000 years ago, ultimately mixing with Bantu-speaking peoples from Africa. Traces of this lineage are widespread, from the language to the terrace rice paddies. But the attention soon turns to surfing, and we meet up with a fellow traveller just returning from a 2-week trip. Lena is a doctor from Austria, flying home tomorrow, and I ask her why she visits Madagascar and what we can expect on our surf adventure.
For me, this is paradise. It's not only the waves, it's just the entire surrounding as well. I love to go to remote fishing villages without solar panels, without Wi-Fi, and you're just in very basic huts. You're so close to all the people in the village, and it's just very authentic.
Everybody knows Madagascar for its vanilla, and as a surf destination it's just as sweet, with 3,000 miles of coastline to explore. Most surfers head for the town of Tulia, fringed by offshore reefs facing the Mozambique Channel. Many of the best breaks are a mile offshore, snapping blue-green lips kissing flaming live coral. The small town of Fort Dauphin on the southeast coast is another hotspot. The best season for swell is the May to September Southern Hemisphere winter, with consistent 4-foot surf, where you'll share waves with a handful of locals. There are clean mornings and slicing afternoon winds, the foam whipped off the back to make vanilla ice cream. We could fly direct into the southwest and the heartbeat of a swell, but we'd miss half the adventure and the chance to see the body of Madagascar. So we hire a Buxis van and a trusted driver for the 2-day road trip, leaving early the following morning.
So this is it, the route descent, 900 kilometers to Tulia via Ranamafana. And this is our driver, Eric. Salama, Eric. Salama. Will we see any Dahalo on the way?
No.
No bandits?
No time.
What about at night time?
Night time, yeah.
Oh, so as long as we drive in the day, it's safe.
The mysterious Dahalo are the bandits of Madagascar, who roam some areas at night to steal zebu cattle and hold up wagons, most of which are slow moving, because less than 15% of the 25,000 miles of roads in the country are paved. In some places 40 miles takes 6 hours, but this is the best road on the island, and heading south is paved with hope. Where the population thins, rice paddies take over. And we're soon moving through Siafahi, Ambatalapi and Antananarivo. Kind of hard names to get your tongue round, but great places to experience as we stop for snacks.
Tasty? Oh, yeah.
How'd you lose your tooth?
Onwards through Antananarivo, Ambo Satira and Ambo Hamamimosa.
Madagascar is a place of world records, huge, fragmented and unusual. The island has long been regarded as a hotbed of puzzling plants and animals that have evolved in isolation for over 80 million years. And the Malagasys themselves have a unique relationship with this landscape.
This unique relationship extends from the living to the long dead in a practice known as famadina, or the turning of the bones, as Nadia explains.
Famadina dia fanomezan-danja ny olona efa maty, famonosana lamba ny olona, zany hoe atsaina zany ny olona efa maty satria misy lanjany amin'ny Malagasy sady mbola mitandry zareo na dia efa maty aza ny olona taloha.
Alongside the road are tombs, sometimes more elaborate than the baked brick architecture of the homes. The Malagasys say that the house is just temporary, while the tomb is for eternity. So when someone dies, they assume the status of a spirit. And the Malagasys consult their ancestors in these turning of the bones ceremonies every few years. Hear the ancestors come alive in electric celebrations, the ghosts rising up. The music is basically call and response. We, the living, link with the dead in our common fate that we will all meet in a better life. But that collective meeting is of course the work of memory, in refleshing the dead as they become part of the living, remembered, their bones turned. As the landscape changes from bone dry to lush green, we arrive in the rainforest of Ranamafana. We sleep deep at the Hotel Forest Austral and kick off the second half of the road trip in the cool morning air through the terrain of the fiercely proud Sakalava people, wrapped up in massive lamba scarves.
Place is incredible as a photographer. The colours are beautiful, the subjects are beautiful, the people are just amazing and smiley, happy, friendly people.
Then we finally make it to a brilliant corner I've been longing to experience.
Well, outside of Madagascar, there are just two varieties of baobab, the African and the Australian. But here there are 7 species alone, and these live for thousands of years and endure seemingly endless periods without water. And when they do die, they rot from the inside and simply collapse into a heap of fibres. So it's no wonder that in African folklore they don't die at all, but disappear as if by magic.
Some baobabs reach 40 or 50 feet and are known by the Malagasys as Renala, the forest mother, because they can hold 200 gallons of fresh water inside. Long after sunset, we make it to Tuliar and awake the next morning to the street life of wheeled carts and brightly painted Asian rickshaws known as puspus or push-push, with brakes that shriek like lemurs. We head to the market for some breakfast. Freshly roasted coffee and a feast of powdered rice and sugar moulded into cakes known as ranamanoka.
100 ari, should we get 2 each? Voilà.
Merci, Sam.
Coffee on the road.
The softly spoken chef is clearly proud to have some Vahasas or foreigners eating at her joint. And after breakfast we meet up with New Zealander Blair Rogers, the founder of Mada Surf Tours. Captain Blair and Rally the skipper from the nearby fishing village of Anakau will be leading us in their speedboat on a swell chase south of Tuliar, staying in different accommodation providers where we will live with the Vezo, the legendary fishing nomads of the Mozambique Channel. But Mada Surf Tours HQ is their lodge in Anakau. Blair started Mada Surf Tours in 2011 and has been a pioneer of surf tourism in the area. I want to find out why he came to Madagascar in the first place.
I lived in Reunion Island for quite a long time, and when I first arrived there in '93, I heard about quite a few of the first guys that discovered Tamarin Bay in Mauritius and St. Louis and Reunion Island. And one of them was missing. His name was Tony Adkins, and he had disappeared to a place called Tulia, Madagascar. So that intrigued me like straight away. I ended up coming over and staying with him and working on his cat with him. I knew from the first time I came to Madagascar I was going to end up living here.
The late great South African Tony T.T.'s Atkins was one of the first modern surfers to explore Madagascar.
Oh yeah, Tony got cancer. It's very, very unfortunate. He went back to Reunion Island to get treated and everything, and it just didn't work, and he passed on a couple of years ago. He's my mentor. He taught me everything I know about exploring and boats. I owe everything to Tony. He's sort of gone now, so they call me Tony Blair now, so I'm sort of taking over for him.
We're soon at sea with Tony Blair and Rally, the local Vezo skipper, motoring south and diving into liquid bliss to wash out the exhaustion from the drive and realign our spines. Our bodies are iron-like from days welded into the wagon, but muscle memory kicks in and sea music takes over. Next time on Brilliant Corners Madagascar, we check in at Mada Surf Lodge in Anakau and learn about the long history of wave riding here.
Do you think that the Asian ancestors would have ridden the boards thousands of years ago?
And order a bolster alair from the local Vezo boat builder.
Manaum, Justine. Manaum. Salama.
Salama.
C'est très bon, c'est parfait.
I come from the cold waters of Cornwall in the UK where I surf with my family. I think that surfing is a wonderful way to engage with communities. And I'm on a journey to discover what we can learn from the brilliant corners of the world.
Do you like that? Well, if so, subscribe over there and then watch more videos over there. And then tell us your favorite videos down there. It's a 3-step process. Do them all now.